Hi everyone, back again. We're going to make some Play-Doh today. So, first of all, before we even begin, this is something that you're going to have to do with your parents. So, an adult has to be with you for this one. So, before we even begin, make sure the adults put the kettle on because we're going to actually need 4 cups of boiling water. So, if they boil it right now, that's great. And before we even begin, we need to make sure we wash our hands. So don't forget, we wash them like this. We put the soap on and the water and we wash them like this on both sides. And then we wash in between and our thumbs. And then we wash our fingers. And that should be pretty good. So if you can count up to 20, that means your hands are really soapy and ready to get the water off, get the soap off. And then they're very, very clean. So I've already done that. Okay, so just before we begin, I'm going to tell your parents what you're going to need. So you're going to need some plain flour, 4 cups of plain flour. You're going to need 2 cups of salt, 8 tablespoons of cream of tartar, and 4 tablespoons of oil, and then 4 cups of boiling water. Okay, so to start with, I've got my favourite bowl. This used to be my mum's, and it actually used to be her mum. So it was my my grandma's bowl. It's very special. It's a little bit broken around, but I love it. It's my very, very special one, and it makes me remember all the beautiful women in my life. So to begin with, we're going to need a cup. So when they talk about a cup, they're not talking about a cup like this, a drinking cup. They're talking about a measuring cup. So this is a special measuring cup. And you can also use these types of things. And that shows you that's about 1 cup, about 1 cup there, and then that's 2 cups. So you can also measure the cups there. But I'm going to use this because I want you to see that we need to put 4 cups of flour in. Now, when we pour it in, you've got to make sure that you always pour it over something so that it can catch, because sometimes it's hard to pour things in and it can actually flow over. So I'm going to show you something. Now, see how that's quite high up like that? That is not 1 cup. That's 1 cup and a little bit. So when you're measuring, you need to make sure that it's flat at the top, like that. And that means that that's 1 cup. So I'm going to put that back in here, some of the stuff in there. And that's our first cup. So that's number 1. And now we're going to do number 2. Oops. 2. And number 3. Number 3. And number 4. 4 cups. And your parents will be able to help you with that. So then you can see that we've got quite a lot of plain flour. Good thing with this is that you're going to get your little fingers all dirty, so you've got to make sure you've got really clean hands. Now we're going to have 2 cups of salt. So I've got the salt here. Salt looks very similar to sugar, but because they're both very, very grainy in there, but they're quite different and they're very different tastes. So we need to have 2 cups of salt. So I'm going to put 1 cup. Fill it up to the top. There you go, 1 cup and another cup. Fill it up to the top. There you go, make sure that's all nice and flat. 2 cups. Now, this is a good time to do a bit of stirring to make sure that the salt and the flour is all mixed in together. So I'm going to do a bit of stirring. This is a really good time for you to do some help with stirring. When you've got your spoon, you've got to sort of keep it in there. You don't want to sort of flick it up because otherwise all this flour and the salt go everywhere, and that's no good. So I just sort of go around the sides. I go around the sides and just sort of scoop it up like that, and then you can see it's all mixed in. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some cream of tartar in. So that's another, they call it a dry ingredient. So these are all dry ingredients. I wonder why they're called dry ingredients. Well, there's the difference between dry and wet ingredients. Wet ingredients are sort of like liquids. So they could be water or oil, things that kind of move and they look watery and look wet. Whereas this is dry and sort of kind of looks powdery. So we're going to put in our cream of tartar and we need to have 8 tablespoons. Now, when you're talking about tablespoon, that's another term for measuring. So we've got 4 different types of spoons here. But the 2 most important ones are the teaspoon and the tablespoon. So which one's bigger? The tablespoon is bigger and this teaspoon is smaller. So teaspoons, we've got other teaspoons like this that we use when we want to mix things and maybe put some, oh gosh, that's got something, where's the honor? Here we go, teaspoon. But this is a measuring teaspoon, so that shows you exactly how much 1 teaspoon is. And this larger one is a measuring tablespoon. So we need to do 8 tablespoons. I had to go down the street to buy some more cream of tartar because it's actually quite a lot of cream of tartar. So can you help me count? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, lucky I bought 2. 6. We need 2 more. Let me fill this one up. 6, 7, 8. There we go. We've got our 8 cream of tartar. And once again, we get to do a mix, mix, mix. This is the fun bit. You can use a big spoon like this. The other thing is with dry ingredients, if your hands are nice and clean, and because we're going to have to use a lot of mixing with our hands, so you can actually use your hands if you want to as well. Okay, now we're ready to put in the wet ingredients. So usually what I do is I put a little hole. I get a little hole in the middle of the bowl, and I find that that's an easier way to mix it. So I just pour it all into that little hole in the middle. And we need to have 8 tablespoons. I'll just open this up. I need my scissors just to open this up. You want to come? Come on. There we go. Showing you how to do it. It's got a little bit of plastic over it so that when it's in the shops, all the liquid doesn't come out. There you go. That'll give you some time to do your mixing anyway while I'm trying to work this out. Here we go. Okay, so now I've got stuff. It's pretty big. So now we need to have 8 4 tablespoons. So remember, this is my small one, my teaspoon, and the bigger one is called a tablespoon. So we need the tablespoon, and we need 4. And I've got my little hole there, and I'm just going to pour. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can hear Wilma. She's moving in. Hello, Wilmy. And now I'm going to do a little bit of mixing, but if you have a little look, you'll be able to see that the oil's there, but we need to do just a little bit of mixing with that and just make sure it starts to, see how it starts to all get a little bit. Let's see if I can do it. Now, the last step, so I've mixed in just a little bit. It kind of looks like little breadcrumbs, and that's totally fine. And now we're going to have our 4 cups of boiling water. So I've already boiled my water. Now this step definitely need an adult for. So once again, have a little hole in your bowl so that you know where the water goes. Oops, a bit hard. Now I'm going to get 4 cups, but we'll start with 1. And boil, glug, and just gently pouring in. You've got to be really gentle because hot water can go everywhere. And now this is the mixing part. Let's see if I can show you that. So just until we get all these in, this is a good time for the adults to do this part. Okay, so it's starting to mix nicely. Now I can do the next one, number 2. Glug. Just slowly pour that in, and once again, very soon, once all the water's in, it gets to a point where you actually can just use your hands because the cold dry ingredients get soaked up. It doesn't feel as boiling hot. But just wait a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to really scoop it up. Get some. There we go. Now we're up to number 2. No, number 3. Third one. Glug. Pour that in. And once again, I'll just do a quick little stir and then show it to you. It's starting to soften. Oh, this is exciting. This is very exciting. There we go. That's great. Now, when you've got the water in, putting the water in, sometimes you might not want to have white Play-Doh. Sometimes it's good to have it coloured. So I'm going to show you what you can do. So you can add, so I'll get my water, and parents, you can usually do this with, like your big jug. When you have 2 litres, that's when it's a good idea to add the colouring then. So we've got all our colours here. So we've got yellow, red, green, and blue. So sometimes it's really fun to divide up your Play-Doh and have maybe half blue and half yellow and see what happens when you mix the 2 together. That's a bit exciting. Or you might want to do a bit of blue with red. So it's always good to just use the primary colours. There's 3 primary colours: green, red, blue, and yellow. And when you mix those together, so 2 at a time, they make a different colour. So I'll leave you with that. So today I'm actually we're going to make some green, because later on I want to do some stuff with our Play-Doh. So I've got my hot water, my boiling water, and I'm just going to put a little bit in. And I'll get my teaspoon and mix that up. Ooh. And then I'm going to pour it in. Oh, it's green. I'll lift it up so you can see. How cool does that look? Okay, this is the last thing. We're just mixing up to make our Play-Doh. Just get rid of all that water so it combines into the dry ingredients. It's getting there. I'll show you. I'll put it off that. You can see a bit better. It's getting there. Okay, let's do a little bit more. This is such a lovely recipe, this one. This is the Kinder recipe we use at Kinder. I used to have a different recipe. Never worked out as well. Now, it's getting pretty good, but I think I need to use my hands because it's not that hot now. It's cooled down a lot. So before you do anything, if you've got any rings on or anything, always take them off. And remember, I've already washed my hands. So my hands are really clean. And just make sure before you put your little fingers in, just make sure that your parents say that it's okay and it's not too hot. I can tell it's not too hot for me. And now, oops, I'm going to have a go at, oh, this is a fun part. Love this part. Oh, this is good. Still a bit hot, so I'm just going to use this a bit more. Mix, mix, mix. And really move it around. Oh, it's looking good. It's looking really good. Now, what I find, it starts to get very, very gooey. So, sometimes, let's see if I can bring it forward a bit. Here we go. So now what you can do is you can add a little bit of flour onto the bench. Get your Play-Doh. Get it all out of the bowl. Oh, so much fun. And then just roll. Oh, it's a good one. I'm happy with this one. It's really good. I wish you were here to play. We're going to do lots of fun. I'm going to give you, the next video I do, I'm going to give you some ideas of what to do with your Play-Doh. Oh, look at that. So happy with that. Let's that back up again. How good is that? Yay! A great Play-Doh. So when you have a good play with it, and I'll give you some suggestions in the next video, but when you want to finish with your Play-Doh, make sure you put it into a container with a lid. Then that should keep really well. We just leave it out. We don't put it in the fridge or anything like that. And yeah, ready to go. Have fun. Missing you all. Turn it off. Turn off. Just want to do it. Turn off. to wash my hands. This is madness. Can't seem to turn it off.